Yesterday GameStop reported a $673 million loss on $8.3 billion in global sales in its full-year earnings results, as sales of both new and pre-owned games and consoles declined year-over-year. That big $673 million loss is one of the largest in the company's history, and quite a bit less than the $35.7 million profit the company reported during the same period the year prior. GameStop claims the big reason for the loss is $965.2 million in asset impairment charges and other items, primarily related to impairment of goodwill. Without that weight, the company claims it would have reported net income of $218.4 million for its 2018 fiscal year, which ended February 2nd. The company said sales of new hardware fell 3% year-over-year, while sales of new software slipped 1% and sales of pre-owned games fell 2%. It's a similar story if you look just at the company's fourth quarter, which included the holiday season, and also saw year-over-year declines in sales of consoles and new pre-owned games. GameStop reportedly saw a year-over-year increase in Nintendo Switch console sales, but overall hardware sales were still pulled down 8%, in large part due to the decline in X1 X sales. As we think about 2019 and beyond, we recognize the challenges facing our pre-owned video game business, and are prepared to address them as we continue to evolve our business model, stated GameStop CFO Rob Llod in the earnings report. We will continue to leverage our powerful brand to drive growth, and with the new cost savings and profit improvement initiative in place, we will focus our efforts on driving profitability. The company declined to provide specific numbers of what it expects to earn in 2019, noting that in its first fiscal quarter, it expects not to report a profit and may report a loss of up to $0.05 per share, consistent with the seasonally slower first half of the fiscal year. GameStop has announced its partnership with the sports organization Complexity Gaming to open up the GameStop Performance Center in Frisco, Texas. This news comes shortly after the company appointed Sherman as its new CEO, just after the board of directors halted plans to sell the company after months of discussion and speculation. As reported by Engadget, the 11,000 square foot venue will serve as Complexity Gaming's new headquarters, and host public events tailored to help casual players get into esports, and provide a space for community. The GameStop Performance Center will be sharing a location with the Dallas Cowboys, fitting as Complexity Gaming partly owned by Cowboys owner Jerry Jones, and plans to provide equipment for the esports organization as well. GameStop is also teaming up with a handful of other esports brands and companies to host gaming clinics, training casual players, Overwatch watch parties, and collegiate esports tournaments. The venue will reportedly open in May of this year. 5 years ago, Eidos Montreal beat Deus Ex to life with the release of Human Revolution, a game that was designed to, among other things, play with themes of transhumanism and why people make the choices they do. Now the studio has released a follow-up, Deus Ex, Mankind Divided, that purports to show a possible way those choices could play out, a near future where mechanically augmented people are segregated from the rest of society. In a recent conversation, executive narrative director DeMarle told Gamasutra that Mankind Divided was written to hold a mirror up to the world and expose it, That's a notable challenge for any developer. And DeMarle says Eidos Montreal had to significantly change the way it operates and bring more writers in-house to produce the storylines. Conversations on the emails scattered throughout Mankind Divided. From a certain perspective, that's actually the easy part. The harder part comes in trying to reflect real-world issues in a respectful and meaningful way. Mankind Divided's marketing initiative put a significant emphasis on the themes of segregation and discrimination that ran through the game's narrative, referencing real-world issues like apartheid and the Black Lives Matter movement in their promotional campaigns. The game and its team have received significant criticism over this, and DeMarle says criticism is valuable when it's fair and fairly delivered. What follows is our full conversation about the art and effort of Deus Ex, Mankind Divided, one that sheds some light on how a game that treats with conspiracy theories, terrorism and fears written in a time when the world seems awash in conspiracy theories, terrorism and fear. DeMarle, as the executive narrative director for the Deus Ex franchise, that basically means I am in charge of all the story and all the narrative created for Deus Ex. So for Human Revolution, that meant I was the lead writer and led a team of writers, and on Mankind Divided I am leading an even bigger team of writers and working with all the departments to basically make sure that the story is infused throughout the game, or that the multiple stories get put into the game as the player experiences them. Good. It's quite hot today in Montreal, and it gets very humid on this coast, so I am attempting to stay cool. Well, that's a big question. Well, a lot has changed. We'd always kind of talked about doing Human Revolution, and we have said that when we did Human Revolution, we kind of had to be naive, and when we did the next game, which is now Mankind Divided, we have to have college. So we learned a lot. We had no idea what we were getting into, really, when we started Human Revolution. Just in terms of how do you reinvent the Deus Ex license? How do you reboot it? And from that game we did actually learn an awful lot. And when that game ended, we kind of said, okay, what did we learn from it? We'd always go through that process at the end of the game to say what did we do right? What did we fail at? What did we want to fix? So we went through that. And some of the things we wanted to fix this time around well, now, I am forgetting a few, because I have been on vacation for about a month. Thank you. So anyway, one of the things we definitely wanted to fix was boss fights, and we kind of just wanted to make some other improvements in the gameplay. We wanted to make the combat more visceral, more fun, because we thought we got the stealth right on the last game, but the combat was a little lacking, so we wanted to make those pillars equal, and then from a narrative perspective, we really wanted to go a lot deeper with story in the world. We still want to make the main story accessible, so you can play through the game and understand it. At a bare minimum, you can understand it, but also, the more that you dive into the world, and the more you do sidequests, the more you are going to discover so much more to this world, and we really wanted to push the choices further, especially for the branching of the narrative and for example, in a lot of the sidequests, we really pushed so that you can end a sidequest in 10 minutes based on your choices. If you push further, you can actually discover new characters and added intricacies to the plot, and then some of those can actually come in and actually affect your critical path experience. So we really wanted to push a lot of that forward. From the narrative perspective, one of the things that happened was on Human Revolution, We had a number of writers, but they were mostly all contract. Some of them worked in-house for the whole time, and we had one who was in London. But we had a lot who were just there for short periods and left. So this time around we had a bigger in-house narrative team. We had a lot more writers, which suddenly meant a lot more managing of writers. And then to tackle the world and how much deeper and bigger we wanted to do it, we kind of had to split up and create new teams. So for example, we had a sidequest team. We had a sidequest team on Human Revolution Tour.